All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. December 25th. Merry Christmas, happy holidays to everyone out there. We got 5 NBA games to jump into in today's video. Very excited to do so. We're going to go through each and every one of these games. I'm going to give you my lean on the spread. I'll give you my lean on the total. We'll talk about the games, but all of my final plays, so I'm actually rolling with myself. If you do want to fade me, those will be in the pinned comment, so make sure to keep an eye on that. Another fadeable day. 1-3 yesterday, Mavs being the only thing we cashed, and that was even an alternate line, so the juice we paid was minus 156. Big ol' L there. But on better news here, and in better spirits and more holiday vibes, right? We got a nice ride of the day cash coming in from Mr. Handicap. DeMar DeRozan over 4.5 rebounds. Finishes with 5. So big spot there for Mr. Handicap. Guys, if you want to be the ride of the day, all you got to use is hashtag ride of the day in the comments. Give me an absolute banger. We need winners here because our picks aren't hot, right? So we need you guys stepping up to the plate, seeing the fastball, and knocking it out of the park. All right, use that hashtag ride of the day. I'm posting the ride of the day over on my X/Twitter at FGuyBoston and following everyone back if you guys do want to check me out over there. But yeah, let's go ahead and jump into this game. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Almost at 45,000 subscribers. Huh? Crazy. Also, I will say before we get into it, shout out to everyone that's been tuning into the live streams. We'll bring those back probably, I don't know, maybe the day after Christmas or something. But yeah, those have been absolutely awesome and electric. We got like 200 people in there concurrently just talking about picks and prize picks plays and yada, yada, yada. Been loving doing those. So appreciate everyone tuning in as that's kind of a new venture that we've been getting into. But let's go ahead and jump into game number 1 here. We're looking at the Bucks taking on the Knicks. Now, we just saw this a couple days ago, and I'm recording this the day before Christmas because there's no NBA games on today. So if I'm misspeaking in terms of like saying yesterday or 2 days ago, forgive me. But we got the Bucks taking on the Knicks here. Again, they just played a couple days back here. Same thing. New York was home then. Milwaukee wins that game 130-111. I thought this game was going to be close when we talked about it. It wasn't a final play, but in the lean of our last video, because that spread was sitting right at, or did it end up closing at 2.5. Now we're still seeing that spread even after the Bucks kind of rout them, beating them by nearly 20, right? So little interesting there, but I just can't fall for it again. Like this is a Bucks team that is far superior to the Knicks. Like the way that they've been playing, this is a way better team than the Knicks. The Knicks have been Mr. Inconsistent seemingly all year long in a sense, but definitely as of late going win, loss, win, loss, win, loss all the way home, right? So could the Knicks keep this close? Sure, but based on what we just saw, based on what we've seen from the Bucks, I'm going to lean towards the Bucks here, minus the 3.5. I've seen this at 3 on some sports books. I don't know if that's going to matter, whether it's 3.5 or 3. The Bucks have covered that line in 9 of their last 10 games. And, you know, truthfully, this is just a game where Giannis should have his way. The Knicks, as good of a defense they are, they're not the most efficient defense. So let me talk about that for a second. So everyone's like, oh, the Knicks, good defense because of their points allowed, right? So in terms of points allowed, they're allowing the 9th fewest points in the NBA. But if you look at it from percentage standpoints here, they are the 12th worst team. So bottom half of the league in terms of field goal percentage against, and then the 10th worst team, 3-point percentage against, and everything like that. So it's like, this is a defense that I think is getting credit for being a good defense, but it's more or less they're a slow team and they slow down the pace. Milwaukee's hard to change their pace. Milwaukee's going to play at their pace. So I don't see any way that Milwaukee really has trouble necessarily scoring or anything like that. And their 2-point percentage defense on the Knicks side of things is god-awful. Where does Giannis make his bread? Where does he just become one of the most dominant players of all time? When he's in the paint, 2-point percentage. He's not a shooter. This is a spot where Giannis probably does ultimately, you know, have his way. Christmas Day, all that type of stuff. I just rhymed as well. So I'm going to lean towards, and Giannis didn't even have that crazy of a game against the Knicks, you know, a couple days ago, right? So like maybe he's also due. We saw, I think it was 20 from Middleton, just under 20 from Beasley, and then Lillard 20 or no 19 maybe, I think Lillard scored. So everyone stepped up. Bobby Portis had a good game. Like Giannis could be the guy now that steps up in this Christmas Day spot. And for what it's worth, Giannis against Julius Randle in his career, 18-4. 18-4. Like, are you kidding me? That ain't a good look. Julius Randle versus Giannis, 4-18 sounds a hell of a lot worse than Giannis' side of things. So yeah, we'll lean towards the Bucks here, minus the 3.5 points. Keep an eye on the pin com to see if we make it a final play. In terms of a total, 240.5. They obviously pegged this one pretty damn well with the fact that, we're looking at the Knicks and the Bucks just playing, and this game finished at, 241. So they obviously have this pegged pretty well, which is fair enough. In terms of what we roll with here, I think I like the over, just because I think it's a little bit silly to look at and bet the Bucks under right now. They've cashed in terms of this line. They've hit this, and I want to say it's 9 of their last 10. Whereas the Knicks also have cashed this more often than not. They're hit in 6 of their last 10. But damn, this Bucks team just absolutely soaring. They're not the defense that they were a year ago. But with Lillard in there, they can score a hell of a lot of points. Like, their recent games here are pretty crazy. We'll go back 10 and I'll rattle these off: 132, 146, 119, 133, 140, 146, 128, 132, 118, 130. Like, they put up over 120 in all but 2 games in their last 10. You know what I mean? Like, if they can go out there and score 130 again, the Knicks probably have a little bit better game because more of the emphasis is, it's Christmas, blah, 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 like national televised. Like, they probably end up making this a little bit closer, and we see an over cash. But keep an eye on the pinned comment to see if we roll with either of those picks there. A player prop that I'm looking at, and it kind of scares me a little bit, would be Jalen Brunson. Looking at his under 33.5 points plus assists. Let me pop up the outlier screen here. So a player prop that I don't mind is this. Now, the reason I'm saying I don't mind, and I say it kind of cringingly, is he has crushed the Bucks plenty of times, and we just saw him do it a couple days back. But do the Bucks have a little bit more emphasis on him this time? Maybe. But again, Damian Lillard's the point guard. Like, I don't think they cover point guards all that well. But outside of playing Milwaukee, this is a guy that, has hit the under here in 71% of games. And when he goes over, he goes over. So unless we're looking at, like, unless we're looking at a crazy game from Brunson, I don't mind looking at an inflated number at 33.5 points plus assists. Even his points don't really scare me all that much either, but you can see he's cashed just a few more times than his points plus assists. So that's just a player prop that we're looking at. We'll let you know in the pinned comment if we do end up rolling with it or anything else that we have in this. Like, again, I think Giannis has a big night, but Giannis's lines are always inflated, right? All right, Nuggets, Warriors. We ditched the Santa hat because my head was burning up. We had to do the same thing in the NFL video, but nonetheless, Christmas spirit still intact here. But we got Nuggets, 6.5 point favorites at home here over the Warriors. Total sitting at 233.5. So the thing with this is, and I'll jump right out and say it, the Nuggets are better than the Warriors. We know that. The Nuggets, you can even make the argument that they're healthier because they're starting to get healthier, right? Wiggins is questionable. Draymond Green suspended. Peyton's out for a while. But 6.5 points is a lot. And say what you want about suspensions or anything, Klay's playing better. Steph Curry's finally starting to catch a stride after that terrible game, 4 or 5 games ago against Portland. And the Warriors, as if they were to be 6.5 point dogs this entire season, they would have covered that line in 79% of games. Denver's only covered this line in 52% of their games. So there is a little bit of like line reading going on here in terms of like, yes, I recognize Denver's better. I recognize that they have the best player on the floor as well. But then do the Warriors have the second best and then the third best? And like, Michael Porter Jr. and Gordon, Jamal Murray, like all of a sudden those guys are better than what the Warriors have, but Warriors have 2 of the 3 best guys on the floor here. You can make the argument for Klay. I'm fine with that. That's not really where this argument lives or dies. It's more or less 6.5 points. That's a lot of points. That's a lot of points. Maybe I'd think Denver if this was like 3.5, but we're talking half the spread. So I'll take the Warriors here plus the 6.5. I say it like, it kind of irks me to do because they're not the better team. But I think they're better than, losing this game by 7 points. They've been playing better as of late. They've won 5 straight games. They're 3-1-1 in their last 5. Pump the brakes. They've played Portland twice. They played Washington there. Brooklyn, they've just barely covered and just barely won. So I understand that, there's some sort of context to the Warriors playing well, whereas Denver has been also playing well. But they've kind of cleaned up on a couple bad teams as well, or teams that haven't really showed up to them. So give me the Warriors here, minus the 6.5 points. Again, it just seems like it's too big of a number. To reiterate, if this were to be the line for the Warriors all season long, they would have covered this plus 6.5 in 79% of games. 79% of games. Last time they played, they covered this line. That was in early November. Nuggets ultimately won, which is how I could see this going, but it was a 108 to 105 finish. And the Warriors cover their line. Definitely 6.5, but they were 4.5 point dogs. In terms of a total, I'll say that I think it could be a very similar type of game that we saw last time. I like the under in this spot. And this Warriors defense has looked a little bit better. I think we know what we're getting both from Denver from an offensive perspective, which, isn't the most high-flying offense. They've been playing faster as of late, I'll say that, but isn't obviously the most high-flying offense. They're just an incredibly efficient offense, and their defense has been sound so far this year as well, allowing the 4th fewest points in the league. Top 10 team when it comes to field goal percentage against. This is all over the last 5. But this Warriors offense has looked good over their Warriors defense has looked good over the last 5 as well. But I already kind of made the caveat. I'll do it again. Portland twice, Washington once. The game that, they let up a bunch of points to was Boston, who, no kidding, that's a really good team, right? They still beat them, went to overtime, but I'll lean towards the under here, 233.5. Like I said, it could be a very similar game to what we saw last time around, just 108 to 105 finish. Warriors keep this game close, maybe lose ultimately, but 6.5 points cover that line. In terms of player props in this game, I've looked at a few here. Nuggets struggle against the bigs. I don't know if you can, get me to really look at either of the bigs here for Golden State. Like, Kuminga's actually covered his points and rebounds and assist line in 3 straight, so maybe you look at that. But are you really going to bet on Jonathan freaking Kuminga on Christmas Day? Most likely not. I also don't hate, just because he's been trending in the right direction, Klay Thompson. He's been knocking down threes left and right. His line is set pretty high, and he doesn't do that against Nuggets or on Christmas Day. Struggles on Christmas, but still, the dude has been pumping his line. He's got 19.5 points line right now. His last 6 games, 30 points, 24 points, 28 points, 24 points, 20 points, so just barely, and then 28 points. He's hit this in 7 of his last 8, so it's like, yeah, the Nuggets, good defensive sound team, all that stuff, but Klay could just go off, you know what I mean? Like, when the amount of threes that he takes, so he's only shooting the ball 15 times again, 10 of those are threes. 66% of his shots are threes, and he is just absolutely just chucking them too. So that line gets pretty shrunk the minute, he starts making a couple threes, because he's not scoring at the normal 2-point rate. He's scoring at the 3-point rate. But nonetheless, just a couple player prop leans in that spot. Let's go ahead and jump into the next game. Before we do get to this Celtics-Lakers game, Sleeper has a free square in the game. LeBron James, 0.5 points is his line right now. LeBron's pretty damn good. I think he scores at least 1 point in this game. And Sleeper also has a bunch of other squares out there for new users. So this user, any user can get. You could be signed up from a year ago, you get this square. But if you're a new user, they have tons of promo squares for football as well. So make sure to go check that out. You get your deposit matched, guys, and there's still a couple days left for their $1 million giveaway. So 3 reasons to go sign up. This LeBron James free square, you get your deposit matched up to $500. That's absurd. Yes, it's a lot to put $500 into an account. I get that. Maybe not everyone does that. But the fact that they'll give you $500, you'll have an account balance of $1,000, that's a no-brainer. And all you have to do to enter these giveaways that they're doing, they're announcing it on the 26th, I believe, is just make Sleeper slips and get entries into the giveaway. Like, it's a crazy no-brainer. Go check it out. Again, that link is in the pinned comment, or you can just download it on your phone and use code GUYBOSTON when depositing, and you get all of that stuff. But, all right, we got Celtics, Lakers here, Christmas Day, and I gotta lean towards this Boston Celtics, my home team here, and they're just playing unbelievable right now. Like, they're beating teams like the Clippers, their last game, right? The Clippers, who are kind of on this upward trajectory as Harden starts to click and all that. They beat the Clippers. They beat the doors off of them. They beat the brakes off them, whatever the hell the saying is. 145 to 108. The Kings, a really good team. They beat them 144 to 119. And these are with injuries in the lineup, too. Porzingis, I think he's questionable in this game. Tatum missed the Kings game. Like, this is a Celtics team that's firing on all cylinders, and you can't bet against them. So maybe if you don't like betting the Celtics, you could pass on this game. But yeah, Christmas Day, anything can happen. I understand that. But man, oh man, I cannot bet against the Celtics team right now. So give me them minus the 3 points. It just seems like, this is a team that's rearing and ready to go. The last couple times these two teams have played, the Celtics have won as well. They won by 4 2 times ago, which was December last year, and then January last season, they won by 4 again. Both those games went to overtime, which is interesting. So could there be a sprinkle on, like, will this game go to overtime for some big odds? Maybe. That's a slight lean, but obviously those are just kind of long shots. But give me the Celtics in this spot. Now we're looking at a total of 234.5. Though the Celtics are scoring so well, I think that this Lakers defense, I'll say, is somewhat coming along. Even OKC, you know, they held them to 120, Minnesota 118. So it's not like they're fully firing on all cylinders, but only a couple teams have scored 120 plus in their last 10 games here. And this Celtics offense is obviously killer, which kind of makes me like, you know, lean slightly towards this, but I'll look at the under ever so slightly, just because I think 235 could be a lot to get to. Again, the last two times they've played, these it was 121 to 118 in overtime though, and then 125 to 121 in overtime. So close to that number-ish, still keeping it, you know, relatively low pace, but again, in overtime, those numbers end up hitting the over. So again, very slight lean towards the under. Obviously, you could probably tell my favorite play in this spot is going to be Celtics -3, but I actually have one that may overtake the favorite here. This is Anthony Davis over 2.5 assists. So Anthony Davis, not the biggest of passers. We know that, right? And shout out to Outlier, guys. I have a link in the pinned comment. 7 days free for this tool. Anthony Davis over 2.5 assists. He had 7 last game against OKC. 4. He's covered this in 3 straight games. He's covered in 6 of his last 10. On the season, he's covered in 66% of games. But what I really do like is 2 things. All right, looking at the Celtics rankings, last 7 games here, they're allowing the 6th or 7th most assists to the center position. Last 15, you know, they're kind of getting a little bit better, but this is all recent trend. Last 7 for the Celtics, and then looking at his player stats here, last 3 games for Anthony Davis, averaging 7.7 potential assists. And we're looking at 2.5 there. And again, 3 straight against the Celtics. Like, I like this spot for him, the Celtics, on the year covering the center position well, right? But as of late, again, that last 7 versus last 15 is very telling. Last 7, they're allowing the 7th most assists to the center position. So, yeah, I like that spot. Don't be surprised if that is a final play again, because that's such a low number. 2.5. Damn, especially when he's passing to LeBron James, who could give the little dump out pass, and LeBron goes and slams this one in. But isn't it kind of funny, just the last little rant on this game, that every single damn game this season, Anthony Davis has been on the injury report, LeBron James has been on the injury report. Now we're looking at a Christmas Day, and it's like, everything that's been nagging them all year, like, they're not even listed on the injury report. So should they be on the injury report in the first place? I don't know. I will say that -3, I'm hoping Porzingis does end up getting the go. Like, that'd be huge. I think he missed last game. He's been on the injury report. He does have a left ankle, I believe. So, yeah, keep an eye on the injury report. But either way, I think I like the Celtics -3 in this spot. Slight lean towards the under, slight lean, and then I like Anthony Davis over 2.5 assists. Next up, we have Miami taking on the Sixers. Like, is this a trap? Is it a trap? Because why are we going to overthink this game? Miami, who has struggled this year, yes, they got a few guys back. I know, Bam, Hero, now they've won 2 straight games, 3 of their last 4. But this is a Philadelphia 76ers team that is crushing it. 20-8 against the spread on the year, 20-8 straight up, 8-4 on the road. It's not like I'm afraid of them being a road team here. Like I don't know if are we overthinking this, or if we look at this line and say, why is it 1.5? Because this is a better Sixers team than Miami, no questions asked. In terms of injuries, Jimmy Butler's questionable. I think that he'll probably try and get the go. I think he's missed last 2 or 3 games. Beverly's questionable as well as Melton. But again, these guys have a day off. They're a couple days off in some cases. Christmas Day game, like, I think that they go in and play here. I don't know. I feel like this is too simple of one, but that's kind of when you get got, and it's a trap, right? So I'll lean Sixers minus the 1.5 points. Maybe just take them on the money line at -120 right now. But it's -120 over on FanDuel. It's weird that this line is where it is. Like, it is. Like, this should just be a Sixers game that they go out there and smack them in the face because of how good they're playing. I don't know, man. It's just a little weird. The total sitting at 226. I also don't mind the over in this spot because this is just a Sixers team that's putting up so many points themselves that it's kind of hard to confidently back an under in the Sixers games right now, because the Sixers, the points that they've been scoring have been crazy. Like, they're just giving you one time in their last 9 games they scored under 120. You know what I mean? And that's more than half of what they need for this game for sure. And this Miami Heat defense, we'll give a little bit of credit to, I guess. They're kind of in the Knicks boat for me, and it's really important to look at percentages and whatnot, shooting shooting percentages against and that type of thing when looking at good defenses, right? Because this is a Miami team that is allowing the third fewest field goal attempts against, okay? So they're slowing down offenses, which, yes, it's a defensive thing, but their field goal percentage against is bottom 10. Like, so when teams are shooting against them, they're scoring. Embiid's going to get a lot of easy looks, a lot of foul shots. Like this isn't a Miami defense that's a world-beating defense right now. Now, they did get Bam back. That can help. Embiid struggled against Bam in the past. All that stuff is valid. But just looking at, like, points against for Miami, they're going to look way better than they actually are. So, yeah, I like this game to go over here. I like both of these spots. They both have a chance to be a final play here. And then just in terms of one player prop lean, it's the square pick. Do not get me wrong. But Joel Embiid, over 49.5 PRA. He's literally hit this in a million games. In his last 20, he's hit this in 70% of those games. So, or 85%, excuse me, 17 of 20. On the season, he's hit it in 76% of games. And he's done this in, what is this? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13 straight games. Like, how do we look at this and say, okay, yeah, I don't think that we can bet that. Now, yes, he's marginally hit this a couple times, but even from a points perspective, he's missed this a couple times. Rebounds perspective, he's missed it a couple times. Where's assist at? Assist, he's missed it a couple times, but when you do the cumulative, it's like he's going to go off in one of these categories. And Joel Embiid on Christmas Day, like, I could totally see him going off. Actually, these are his Christmas Day numbers here. 31, 12, and 2. But he's having one of the better assist years of his career here, right? So, yeah, give me Embiid over 49.5 PRAs. Again, it's a high number. His number's inflated, but I don't know if you can bet against this dude right now. I don't know if you can bet against this dude. And Miami is a smaller team, and like I said, those field goal percentage numbers are pretty big in my book. In terms of like their 2-point percentage and all that, this isn't a world-beating Miami defense. Tied for 23rd in terms, so 7th most, right, or 8th most 2-point percentage field goal against. That says something. Where does Embiid like to make his heyday? Down low. So I expect him to have a good day. I expect the over as well as Sixers -1.5. But I don't know. Are we overthinking it, thinking that line is something where it is? Because that's what would keep me off of this, to be honest. What would keep me off of this game is looking at this being like, ooh, I don't know. Sixers only -1.5. Something's weird, like keeping off of it because it sounds like a trap. But I don't want to overthink it. All right, we have another deal to talk about heading into this Suns and Mavericks game here. Kevin Durant, will he score 1 point? That's over on Prize Picks right now. I keep telling you guys, I've been hammering Prize Picks, hammering Sleeper, and hammering Chalkboard. The more of these apps you have and the more books you have just in general, the more value you can get and the more free squares you can get as well, because they're all doing different types of things. So go check out Prize Picks. Same thing, guys. You get your deposit fully matched. It's a no-brainer. And you get a Kevin Durant free square. Like, come on. These are no-brainers. Go check it out. That link is in the pinned comment. And we've been building a bunch of Prize Pick slips on stream, which has been really cool. So yeah, guys, go ahead and check that out. That link is in the pinned comment. Now let's get to this game, because I think it's going to be a good one. We got the Suns taking on the Mavs. Suns -5 right now, total sitting at 235, and kind of similar to what we talked about with Denver and the Warriors. Like, I think that the Suns win this game. I don't think that Vegas would peg them at -5 here, if they obviously didn't think that as well. But I think that's too many points to give Dallas. Now, Dallas, both these teams, you could make the argument that they've kind of gone like up and down and have struggled here, right? So noted on that. But this is a Dallas team that, you know, when they play soft-ish defenses, which I don't think the Suns defense has really been clicking, they've kind of had their way. And you're looking at a Phoenix team that's 5-10 against the spread at home this year. Dallas 9-6 against the spread on the road. I really don't mind Dallas plus the 5 points. Like I said, the inconsistency is what may kind of trigger me or potentially keep me out of this or off this, right? But, you know, 5 points, this Dallas team, you know, they've covered fairly well this year. Fairly decent against a spread team, sitting at, you know, 15-14, like a little bit above 500. But on the road, they've played well, and this has not been a good Phoenix team at home. So 5 points seems like a little bit too much. Again, both the teams, you know, struggling-ish. Dallas lost 3 straight before finally beating San Antonio. They blew them out. Good for them. Phoenix, looking at, you know, only of winning 3 of their last 10 games, but they've played some tough teams in there. Regardless, I like Dallas plus the points. The total is where it does get a little bit interesting for me. 235. Nothing to go off of this year for these two teams, but last year in March they played 130 to 126 was the final, and I think that a lot of people are going to be on the over in this spot because you have, like I said, a Dallas team that plays with definitely a high motor and high pace. This season they're shooting the third most times in the entire league, but their field goal percentage has started to drop down. They're only shooting, they're only the 19th best team, so bottom half the league in terms of field goal percentage. And this is a mediocre Suns defense, but mediocre helps the under in this case because they're not a bad, like I said, I don't think that's why I think Dallas keeps it close, because they're not a great defense, but I don't think Phoenix is a bad defense, which I think 235 you'd be asking for Dallas to try and be scoring against a bad defense here. So I know that's a little tongue twisty, but what I'm saying is 235 seems a little bit too high, and I think it's going to be a spot where everyone looks at this and says, oh, easy over. I think we cash in under here. I do. I think that this game maybe finishes around, I guess I would maybe peg it at like, what would we peg it at? 230. I could see this game being like a 117 to maybe like a 114 game, right? Which gets pretty damn close to that number, but doesn't really go up and over. So that's a slight lean. Obviously, you got to kind of connect a few dots and cross a few T's and dot I's to get to that under projection, but I don't mind it. Now, a player prop, not many props out for this game so far, so FYI, but a player prop I don't mind is going to be Luka triple-double. He's had 3 of these against Durant in his career, and this is just obviously a guy that's been crushing it as of late. Not getting triple doubles as of late, but his PRA line is set at 55.5, which is crazy. His PRA line is through the roof, so we don't want to touch that. His points line is 34.5. Nothing there, but he definitely has the ability, obviously, to go out there and cash a triple double, which he's only done, I think, I want to say 5 or 6 times this year, but he's done it in 2 of his last 4 games. Did it against San Antonio, did it against Portland, and now he's the bright light shining on him on Christmas here. I could see this being a triple-double spot for him. So, yeah, give me that. He's also had this a couple times, I believe, against Phoenix, maybe like last time a couple years ago. But nonetheless, plus 170. We're talking about a flyer here, right? Like, I'm not trying to tell you exactly why this definitely hits, but plus 170 is some value for Luka in that spot. But, guys, that is going to wrap it up for today's show. I'll say this, by the way, comment 27 if you made it this far into the video. Very curious to see. A lot of work went into these picks because I know we got to be sharper in the NBA, so we're putting our best foot forward. But a lot goes into these videos, obviously. But I want to say, obviously, this is not the New Year's year coming to the end, but I want to reflect for, give me 2 seconds, right? We literally have hit milestone after milestone after milestone in the last couple months, which is absolutely absurd. Like, it is absurd in my brain. We're not stopping. We could have bad days. We're not stopping. We'll have good days. We're not going to get too high, right? We're implementing more things. Like, we're putting out so much content on the channel. Me personally, putting out so much content on the channel. And it means a lot that you guys have vibed with it and you know, you like it and it's being engaged with. So thank you truly to you guys. I mean that. I know everyone on YouTube makes videos, says thank you for the subscribers and all that. Like, it's all true. We all mean it, but I truly do mean it. Like, this is life-changing. I'm doing what I love, and you guys are literally the reason for that. Like, I say it all the time, but I'm a dummy with a camera and a microphone, right? You guys are what makes this thing turn and gets the engine going. So appreciate the hell out of you guys. And yeah, that's all I have to say. Enough of the sappy rant, but truly thankful, guys. And we'll catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.